What the human mind can imagine and truly believe it can achieve sounds almost unbelievable, doesn't it? If that were really true, why do so many people spend their entire lives never reaching what they deeply desire? Could it be there is something they just don't know? Today I'm going to share with you 10 simple habits inspired by Napoleon Hill's philosophy that could completely transform your life in just 7 days. Yes, you heard it right, 7 days. And here's the most powerful part. Anyone can do it, as long as they have the courage to face their own limitations. But first, answer this honestly. How many times have you felt stuck, unmotivated, or trapped in a meaningless routine? If just hearing this question bothers you, then this message is meant for you. Have you ever noticed how most people wake up every morning on autopilot? They open their eyes, check their phones, reply to messages, get irritated by notifications, gulp down coffee in a rush, and before the day even reaches noon, they already feel crushed by the weight of routine. And the strangest part is they don't even realize they lost control of their day before it truly began. Have you ever felt this way? I'd bet you have, because the reality is it happens to almost everyone. Napoleon Hill used to say that a man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, and this truth feels even more relevant today than at any other time in history. Think about it carefully. If you don't know where you want to go, any road will seem acceptable, but here's the problem. Most of the time, that road leads straight to frustration, stress, and disappointment. You might keep yourself busy all day, but being busy isn't the same as making progress. Being constantly active doesn't mean you're actually being productive, and this is where the secret lies. Every single day, before you let the world's demands flood your mind, you need to pause. Just stop. Take a deep breath, turn off the notifications, ignore the incoming messages, and decide on one single clear goal for your day. Only one, not 5, not 10, one. It might sound too little, but the power of it is in its simplicity and clarity. Because when you choose what truly matters, everything else aligns around that choice. And this goal doesn't have to be life-changing, revolutionary, or something worthy of a motivational movie. It can be as simple as finishing that report you've been putting off, making that uncomfortable phone call, tidying up your document drawer, or learning something new that could help you tomorrow. The size of the goal doesn't matter. What matters is that it's clear, concrete, and specific, because when you give your brain a target, it stops drifting and starts working for you. And there's actual science supporting this. A study from the Dominican University of California found that people who define and write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them compared to those who only keep their intentions in their minds. 42%. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between living another day controlled by outside demands or finally starting to take control of your own life. So let me ask you this. How many times have you let an entire day slip by only to end it with that empty feeling? Like you did 100 little things, but none of them truly mattered. And what if, just for today, you decided what you would do before the day even started? How much of a difference could that make? Let's take it a step further. Imagine repeating this for 7 days. The change in your energy, your focus, and even your mood could be nothing short of extraordinary. And for anyone who doubts the power of a single clear goal, let me share a real story from Napoleon Hill's life. When he was just 25 years old, he was granted the chance to sit down with Andrew Carnegie, who at that time was recognized as the wealthiest man on the planet. Carnegie saw promise in Hill and posed a challenge that would alter the course of his life forever. To spend the next 20 years researching the habits and strategies of history's most successful individuals and to shape that knowledge into a practical method. Without a moment of hesitation, Hill agreed. On that very day, his sole intention became saying yes and embracing the responsibility. He had no clue how he would accomplish it and lacked any financial means, yet he made a firm decision to see it through. That single choice ended up shaping his entire future. Had Hill doubted himself or overthought it, none of this would have come into existence. That is exactly what happens when you decide with absolute clarity what needs to be done today. Because it is the accumulation of small, daily choices that lead to great transformations. No achievement ever arises from random bursts of luck or fleeting moments of inspiration. Real success is born out of the steady discipline of setting and keeping small, daily promises, one step at a time. And before you find yourself thinking, "But I don't have the time," let me tell you this: it takes less than one single minute. The moment you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you even sit up in bed, look within and ask yourself, what is the most important thing I can do today that will bring me closer to the person I truly wish to become? You don't have to fix your entire life at once. You just need to choose the day's single priority. Everything else finds its place around it. Do this for 7 consecutive days. That's my challenge to you. Write down, either on paper or in your phone's notes app, what your one goal of the day will be. And at night, check if you accomplished it. You'll notice a remarkable shift in your energy, in your mental clarity, and even in the quality of your sleep. Because few things drain us more than wandering through life without direction. And nothing feels more fulfilling than going to bed knowing you took at least one small step toward the life you truly want to create. How many times have you opened your eyes in the morning and, even before your feet touched the floor, your mind was already racing with problems, worries, and that familiar heaviness pressing on your chest? You know those mornings when your first thoughts are about unpaid bills, arguments, deadlines, and duties. It's astonishing how this has become the norm for so many people. And you might not even notice it, but starting the day like that is like beginning a race with your foot tied up. You're already emotionally behind before you've even taken the first stride. Napoleon Hill understood this perfectly and taught that the way you begin your morning shapes the energy you carry through the next 24 hours. Most people start their day complaining. They complain about the alarm clock, the traffic, the job, the bills, the boss, the government, and they fail to see that in doing so, they're programming their minds to keep finding even more reasons to complain. And believe me, the brain listens. But Hill discovered, and modern neuroscience now proves, that there's an antidote to this mental trap. A simple, quick, yet incredibly powerful habit: practicing gratitude the moment you wake up. And before you dismiss this as some shallow motivational cliche, know that researchers from the University of California, Davis, led by psychologist Robert Emmons, have demonstrated that people who make it a daily practice to feel grateful are more optimistic, sleep better, and experience significantly lower levels of anxiety and depression. This isn't speculation, it's science. And no, you don't need to feel grateful for a house by the ocean, the car of your dreams, or $1 million in the bank. Hill used to say that the real breakthrough comes when you learn to cherish the simplest things: being alive, having someone who truly cares about you, the fact that you can hear this video right now, a warm cup of coffee, a genuine hug, a beautiful sky on your way to work. Things that your daily routine has probably made you forget to appreciate. Let me suggest a quick exercise, right here, right now. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and think of 3 things you have today that many people would give everything they own to experience. Go ahead. It could be your health. It could be the freedom to come and go as you please. It could be the chance to start over. Do you notice how, the moment you shift your focus from what is missing to what is already there, your energy changes? It happens almost instantly. Napoleon Hill shared that during the Great Depression in the United States, a time when millions of people lost absolutely everything, he found himself bankrupt, without a home, and watching his wife and children go through hardship. It was the perfect setting for total defeat. Yet every single day, before doing anything else, he made sure to give thanks for being alive, for having his mind, and for still carrying ideas within his head. And it was precisely from this mindset that he gathered the strength to write Think and Grow Rich, the book that transformed the lives of millions. The very situation that could have destroyed his hope instead became fuel, and it all began with gratitude. The reason behind this is simple. The human brain is wired to survive. It naturally scans for threats, dangers, and problems to keep you safe. But when you deliberately start your day by noticing the good, you force your mind out of that defensive mode. It stops searching for what could go wrong and starts spotting possibilities, solutions, and opportunities. And it isn't an exaggeration to say that this can truly change the direction of your life in less than 7 days. Because when you wake up feeling grateful, you handle challenges better. You react differently to criticism. You see obstacles as challenges instead of as life sentences. You gain more energy, more focus, and greater clarity to make decisions. How many times have you seen someone who, by all accounts, should be miserable, and yet somehow keeps a smile on their face and a calmness that's hard to explain? These people aren't disconnected from reality. They've simply chosen to concentrate on what they do have instead of what they lack. And what's even more interesting, they tend to attract more good things because they notice opportunities that most people overlook. So let me ask you this. What if changing this one habit could improve your relationships, your mood, and your productivity? Wouldn't you be willing to try? Because the truth is, so many people spend their entire lives waiting for huge victories before finally feeling grateful. But the key is to flip that thinking, to feel grateful first, to appreciate what you have now so that you can attract what you want. Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, before touching your phone and before even fully opening your eyes, think of or write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be small things. It doesn't matter. What matters is doing it consistently. Try it for 7 days and see how you naturally start noticing more reasons to give thanks. Because once the brain is trained, it begins to automatically look for the good. It replaces the habit of seeing scarcity with the habit of seeing abundance. And in the end, the real question is this: will you keep following the automatic pattern of most people, waking up and immediately complaining about everything? Or will you choose to be one of the few who open their eyes and see life differently? Because let me assure you, the choice is entirely yours. Have you ever stopped to notice how, without even realizing it, the greatest battle of your entire life is being fought inside your mind? Because no matter how hard you work, how much you study, or how many opportunities cross your path, if your inner dialogue keeps sabotaging you, all of that will end up being worthless. And what's worse, most people don't even notice what they keep telling themselves day after day. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "I can't do this, this isn't for me," or "I'm never going to get out of this situation"? The truth is, maybe without meaning to, you're actually programming your mind to believe exactly that. Napoleon Hill made it crystal clear that the thoughts you repeat to yourself daily become direct commands to your subconscious, which, like an obedient servant, works tirelessly to make them come true, and modern science backs this up. Research conducted by Cleveland Clinic shows that repetitive thought patterns directly affect behavior, performance, and even physical health. In other words, what you quietly whisper to yourself ends up shaping your entire life experience. Picture 2 people facing the exact same challenge. One of them, when things get tough, keeps repeating, "I'm terrible at this, I'll never succeed." The other one thinks, "This is hard, but I can learn." Who do you believe stands a better chance of succeeding? And this isn't about fake positivity or ignoring reality. It's about guiding your mind toward what builds you up, not what tears you down. Hill made this point powerfully when he said, That if you don't control your thoughts, they will end up controlling you. And that's exactly what happens when you let your mind wander freely, without supervision. And if you stop to reflect on it, how many times a day do you really pay attention to what you're thinking? Very few people ever do that. Most just feel the emotional weight, but never notice the thought that triggered it in the first place. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you receive a piece of criticism at work. Instantly, your mind shouts, "I really am incompetent. I knew this would happen." And right then, without noticing, you've just issued a direct command for your brain to strengthen that belief. Now, imagine if in that moment you took a deep breath and silently told yourself, "This was just a piece of criticism. I'm going to learn from it and get better." The difference in emotional and behavioral results would be enormous, and this isn't just a theory. Many great figures made this approach a life philosophy. Muhammad Ali, for instance, became famous for saying, "I am the greatest," long before he ever became a world champion. He understood the power of shaping his mindset with positive affirmations, even before the facts matched them. He was programming himself for victory. And many people back then rolled their eyes thinking it was arrogance. But later, they saw the results. The problem is, most people end up programming themselves to lose and don't even realize they're doing it. They spend years repeating to themselves that they're not good enough, that they don't deserve it, that everything is too hard, that things only work out for other people. And when life responds accordingly, they blame luck, other people, the government, or the economy. They never look at the root cause, their internal dialogue. Napoleon Hill lived through this struggle himself. As a young man, he went hungry, got fired from jobs, lost friends, and was even doubted by his own family when he decided he wanted to make a living as a writer. But years later, he shared that every single day he would repeat to himself, "I am destined for great things. I will learn from every fall and become better than I was yesterday." And that kept his mind steady, even when everything around him was falling apart. It wasn't luck, it was a mental command. And maybe you think, "But I can't stop negative thoughts." Indeed, you cannot prevent them from showing up, but you can decide whether or not to feed them. You are not obligated to believe everything. Your mind tells you. Starting today, begin to notice your own phrases. Write them down if necessary. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," replace it with, "I still can't, but I'm learning." Swap out, "This is impossible," for "I will find out how to do it." It may seem overly simple, but small changes in language shape significant changes in destiny. To challenge you, I propose something. For the next 7 days, every time a sabotaging thought or phrase arises, write it down and rewrite it in a strengthening way. This is not cheap coaching, this is applied behavioral science. Do this and watch how your mood, your courage, and even your energy change. In the end, the question is simple. Either you control your mind or you live a prisoner to it. The choice, as always, is yours. And life, my friend, respects those who first respect themselves in their thinking. Have you ever really stopped to reflect on who the people are that you spend the most time with? Have you noticed how the environment you place yourself in daily influences not only your decisions, but also how you view life, react to problems, and deal with your own dreams? And don't fool yourself. You can be determined, talented, and full of good intentions, but if you are surrounded by the wrong people, you will end up trapped in the same cycle as they are. It is inevitable. Napoleon Hill was categorical when he stated, "You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Think about it. If you are around negative people, in a short time, you will be complaining about the same things. If you associate with those who only talk about crisis, problems, and limitations, inevitably, you will begin to see the world in the same way. This happens because we are adaptable beings, And the human mind, for safety, tends to imitate the patterns of the group it belongs to, and this is not just ancient philosophy. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine revealed that if a close friend gains weight, your chances of gaining weight also increase by 57%. That's right, mere companionship changes your habits, your choices, and your results. Now imagine the impact this has not only on your body, but on your money, your relationships, and your projects. And do not think this is limited to those physically close to you. Today, the people you follow on social media, the channels you watch, the content you consume, all of this also composes your mental environment. Napoleon Hill understood this long before science proved it. He saw that the most successful men of his time, like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Andrew Carnegie, not only worked hard individually, but made a point of surrounding themselves with other ambitious, bold minds with high standards. They attended the same clubs, discussed ideas, exchanged advice, because they knew that by being among great minds, conversations changed, topics elevated, and solutions appeared. Now, think about yourself. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? If they are people who only complain, say nothing, works out, money is hard to come by, that the country is no good, and life is unfair, guess what will happen to your mindset? Exactly. You will start believing the same things without even realizing it. And if you think this does not make a difference, just look at real examples. How many stories are there of athletes, artists, or promising entrepreneurs who, by surrounding themselves with the wrong people, ended up failing? A striking case is that of the singer Michael Jackson, who, despite being a genius, spent much of his career surrounded by flatterers and self-interested individuals, which contributed to poor decisions and the emotional isolation he experienced. Surrounded by those who lacked the courage to tell him the truth or challenge his growth, his mental health and professional judgment gradually deteriorated. On the other hand, consider Oprah Winfrey's case, who from an early age connected with mentors such as Maya Angelou, who taught her to respect herself, maintain her essence, and seek environments that intellectually challenged her. Oprah insists, even today, on keeping around people who encourage her to think bigger and refuses to surround herself with those who remain stuck complaining. It is no coincidence that she built a respected empire. What does this teach you? That your environment outweighs motivation. You can watch 10 motivational videos every day, but if you are surrounded by mediocre people who do not dream and only point out flaws, you will absorb that pattern. Conversely, if you spend time with people who seek growth, who have plans and the courage to act, you will find yourself forced to raise your own level. And maybe you think, but I do not know people like that. And I tell you, in the beginning, I did not know them either. Napoleon Hill did not know them either. He started poor in small villages, surrounded by people who only knew how to repeat that life was hard. And what did he do? He began to search. He looked for books, letters, records of great people. He sought mentors wherever possible. And little by little, this changed his mental pattern until he became part of the group of the most successful men in the world. Today, you have the internet, books, videos, podcasts, interviews. The content from great minds is available with a single click. And if your physical environment still does not allow this, create a mental environment. Choose with whom and with what you share your time and attention. Therefore, I propose an exercise to you. Tonight, before going to sleep, write down the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with, either in person or virtually. Then ask yourself, does this person lift me up or pull me down? Do they inspire me or limit me? Do they challenge me or pamper me in mediocrity? And from there, begin to make choices. It's not always possible to cut everyone out immediately, but it is possible to reduce the time and intensity, and above all, to start connecting with those who move you forward. Because in the end, the truth is simple. Either you walk with those who propel you, or you remain stuck with those who hold you back. And the cost of this is too high for those who have big dreams. The environment you choose today shapes the destiny you will live tomorrow. It is no use dreaming big if you walk with those who pull you down. It is no use wanting to prosper if your routine and conversations keep you in the cycle of complaining and mediocrity. And the great turning point begins when you consciously decide with whom, with what, and with which thoughts you will connect from now on. And since you have come this far, know that this is not the end. Actually, it is just the next step in your journey. There is more content for you right there, in the next video appearing on the screen now. And if I were you, I would not miss it, because there we will climb another rung on your ladder of wisdom. Content made to make you 1% better than you are at this exact moment. Thank you very much for your company so far, and I will see you there. Because those who truly seek growth never stop. Let's go together.